Hey crafters, this is Nye. So today we are going to assemble our 3D candy cane box. Now I have to confess before we get started, this is going to be one of the harder projects for us to assemble. And the reason why is because when we look at a candy cane, everywhere is completely curved. So we're going to take our time and we're going to get this done together. Now, as you can see here, I have all of my pieces. They are cut out and it's probably all blending in with my table. So I'm just going to kind of hold it up here so you can see it a little bit easier. So I have all of my pieces cut out, and when you were scoring before you were cutting it, hopefully you noticed that on all of the pieces, you're gonna find some kind of symbol. For example, these two long rectangle pieces, this one has one square and this one has two squares up in here in the corner of the pieces. These two, they have circles, okay? Now, these coordinate with the actual candy cane shape. So what you're gonna find here is I have this red one. This is going to be on the lid of my candy cane. And then this piece that's underneath, this one has a little symbol of this square. That's gonna go with the two rectangle pieces that have the squares as well. So you wanna make sure that you kind of put them together. This candy cane one, it doesn't have anything. And this one is going to be the insert that goes with the bottom. And the bottom is going to be the one that has the circle here. And that one goes with the rectangle pieces that both have squares. So there'll be 3 pieces for the bottom, 3 pieces for the top, 1 piece that's an insert, and then the red piece for the lid, okay? So those are all of our pieces. Now I'm gonna put the insert off to the side, same thing with the lid off to the side. And what I'm going to be using for gluing is my art glitter glue. And that's really gonna be my main supply. I also have a glue stick. Now, you do kind of want to make sure that you have a glue stick, or even if you have like a bamboo skewer or something here, you need something that's kind of small, but really firm and sturdy, because when we are putting these pieces down, because the entire shape here is curved, we are going to have to roll everything. And especially right around here at this part of the candy cane, this is such a tight curve that we really need to make sure that our paper is bent. Not at a 90-degree angle or anything, but just really so it's curved, okay? So we're gonna get started, and I'm just gonna move things over here. We're gonna start here with the base. So I've got my circle, that's how I know it's the base, and I've got my first circle rectangle. So it only has one circle on it. And when you look at it, you're gonna find that 2 of these little tabs here, they look more like teeth instead of more like the trapezoid shape. This is really important because this is where we're going to start, kind of right here in the middle, okay? So what I'm going to do though is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to begin by just folding right along the score lines. If you want, you could use your bone folder to help you to get all of these score lines folded nice, sharp, and crisp. I'm okay using my fingers here. I know that you've seen me do it many times. Once in a while though, I will use my bone folder. So I'll go ahead and use it so you guys can see. So here we go, bone folder. And all you're gonna do is just press it down just like that. And this part came up, but that's okay. And like I said, if you want to, you could go ahead and use your bone folder. If not, you can just leave it the way it is, okay? I'm gonna fold this one here. Now, when we go to add it to our candy cane shape, we're going to want to add it so that way the tabs are sitting on the inside. So it's going to kind of go like this. But we are starting right here. Remember I told you about these 2 that are different? We're going to start right there, and this is where our glue stick comes in. I want you to take the glue stick and put it right where those 2 are, and that's where I want you to begin to fold the paper, just like this. And see how I'm rolling it? It's really important right here that this is really curved and bent, or not bent, but just curved. We really need to make sure that the fibers are broken up here because this corner is just, it's hard. I struggled designing this one. This is probably the hardest one I've ever designed with all of these curves, because especially right at this corner. When I made my first prototype, it actually ripped and I was kind of like, ah. And then just trying to get all of it together, it was a little bit more difficult. So I used my glue stick here. And what I'm also going to do though is I'm going to take my thumb and just kind of bend my paper here to break up the fibers along the rest of this rectangle. And then I'm going to also just come back in here and just get where those two little kind of like teeth are. And just really making sure that that one's bent there. Okay, so that looks good. And this is where we're going to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my glue to these two first. And then I'm going to add it right here where this curve is. So again, you curve your paper, and I know it's going to be really hard for you to see this. One, because my table is white and my paper is white. So I'm going to press it down first. I've got it right along in this curve. And I'm going to hold it here and give my paper a chance to dry, because I do not want this to move at all, especially right as I'm getting started, okay? And so you can see it here on this side. It's right there. I'm going to hold it so now you can see it here. It's right in that curve, okay? And then all I'm going to do now is I'm bending this part here. I'm going to add a little bit of glue right along this side here. And again, it might be really hard for you guys to see this, but it had to be with white cardstock, obviously, because it's a candy cane. And all I'm doing is I'm bending the paper right along the edge here, so that way it folds. And I want to make sure that it's right at the edge, okay? You do want to make sure that when you're adding the paper here, it's not too far in, like you're not, let me see if I can do it like that. Like, so it's not like that. You want it right at the edge, because if it ends up going too far in, what will happen is you'll use less of the paper. And when you go to meet the two at the very end, you're going to find that there's some excess. And if there's a little bit of excess, that's really okay, because you could technically cheat and just use your scissors to kind of cut off any of that excess to make sure that it meets. But you definitely want to make sure that it's at the edge and not over. Otherwise, you'll be short. And we don't want that part either, okay? So I know that took a couple seconds, probably about a minute maybe. I was making sure that it was drying. And so you can see it here on the inside as well. It's okay if these tabs overlap on top of each other. That's perfectly fine. Sometimes you're gonna have that happen because it's completely curved. And so the tabs are not gonna go completely straight along the edge. They're gonna have to sit on top of each other. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add just kind of like a little bead here, because this part is straight. So I can go down a little bit further, and all I'm gonna do is add my paper right to the edge of the candy cane, and then I'm using my finger to press this down. Now I've got glue seeping here on the outside. That's okay, because in a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up to show you guys how it's right at the edge. And I'm just going to take my finger and just wipe all of that glue. And all it's going to do is kind of seal it right there. Okay, so I've got a little bit here. I'm going to add the glue right to this one and then just press it down. And so that was a nice straight line that I was able to do. Because now, again, I'm coming to a corner and to an edge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go, whoops, one at a time here. So I'm going to hold my glue in my hand as I'm going. So I'm going to do that one there. And I'm going to do the next one. And this one, I'm going to add a little bit more glue there. So you can see it there. This one, I'm going to kind of come right in and I'm going to fold right at the edge. So you can see it right at the edge there. I'm holding it. I'm going to give it 10 seconds or so, 5 seconds for it to dry. Then I'm going to move on to the next one. And it's going to overlap. The tab is going to overlap on the inside. Like I said, that's okay. I'm going to press this one down just a hair more. And so you can see this part's up just a bit. And then I'm going to do the next one here. And again, just pressing and holding and giving it a chance to dry. So like I said, this is the hardest one I think I've done. I had a tough time with the design here, even too. I was a little surprised at it. Some of the math just wasn't adding up and it was slightly frustrating. I almost gave up on it, but sometimes we have to do hard things. And sometimes we grow when we do hard things too. All right, so this one seems to be shifting still a little bit. And so now I'm kind of coming again to a straight part here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it down. I'm gonna add just a little bead of glue right here. And then I'm going to press it and just press it down and hold it there. And it didn't finish the edge, but it came close. I'm just gonna add a little bit right there. Okay, that looks great. Okay, woohoo! Super fun. Okay, so now for the next part. We're gonna do the same thing, and we have our tab here and then these tabs, and it's going to line up right here. So I'm gonna, again, just use my fingers here and fold right along the tabs. Now the difference with this one is there's no kind of separate part, or there's no tab that looks more like the teeth. These are all gonna kind of look the same. And since we want our paper to bend this way, we're gonna come in and we're gonna just use our fingers to break up the fiber of the paper this way. So that way it's curving along the way that we want it to go, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add a little glue right here to the bottom, and then we're gonna add the glue here on the tab. And then we're gonna press it down and we're gonna let it meet, and you're gonna hold it here because like I said before, we wanna make sure that this has a chance to dry and that it doesn't shift on us when we get started. And so I'm just pressing it, and I'm pressing it there and I'm holding it. And I'm just checking it out there at the edge or at the end. And now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna move this one here, and all I'm gonna do is come in here and just add a bead of glue right along the edge, and then again pressing it down and just holding it right there. Now before you get to the curve, you wanna make sure that everything is kind of dried, because like I said, we don't want anything shifting on us as we're going here. All right, now I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna start the curve. And you can flip it this way, and then you can watch as you're gluing. And then just really taking your time, going right along the edge. Okay. And remember that the tabs on the inside can overlap. It's perfectly fine. In fact, it has to. And now I'm gonna add a little bit more to keep going. Right along the edge there. And there we go. And then again, just press and hold as you do. That was 3 tabs at the same time. So then just press and hold as it goes. And then we're gonna add just a little bit more coming in on the curve. Remember, you wanna get right along to the edge, not so much that it's over at all, but just right at the edge there. I think I need more glue here, I do. So I'm gonna just do a dab right there. And then just pressing and holding. There we go. And it's okay to take, 10 seconds, 20 seconds to give it a chance to dry. Perfectly fine. So now I'm gonna come on the inside here and then just add a little bit more. Okay. And like I said, just give it a chance to dry. And when you're ready to come towards the end, you may want to just kind of go ahead and add it all at once and let it dry there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm adding, I don't know if I went out of my camera. Sometimes I think I tend to do that. I'm always afraid that I do. And I'm going to add and then press everything down right about there. I'm going to press it and hold it. And okay. There we go. All right. So that looks good there. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to now go ahead and we're going to add this one right in here on the inside. So you saw how it just kind of fell right in? That's what we're going to do there. So I'm going to take it back out, add my glue to this part, and then just pressing it down right there. And all that's going to do is hide the tabs for us. Okay? Whew, so that finishes the base. And so it looks good. Okay? So I'm going to put this one off to the side, and now we're ready to start the lid. Now, the tricky part, here we go. When you're ready to do this, we need to make sure that the lid is going in the same orientation, which means that we cannot add the sides to the top part where the square is, okay? We have to flip it over so that way when we add the sides to this part and we go to flip it this way, it lands and it closes together. If we were to add the lid like this on this side, it would just sit one right on top of the other and it wouldn't seal, okay? So we're gonna start here and then we're gonna flip it this way so that way our square is on the bottom part. And again, we're gonna start with the rectangle that has these two pieces right here, okay? And same thing as before, we're gonna go ahead and we are just gonna fold. Whoops, I got a little crazy there. Uh-oh, there we go. And then we're just gonna fold right along those score lines here. Okay. And now, because, oh, I wanted it to go this way. Okay, so I'm folding it back this way because what we want to do is we want to make sure that it's going this way now because we're kind of reversing everything and going backwards. So I'm going to fold these tabs towards me and not away, which is okay because all it's doing is making sure that the paper is nicely bent there. And so we're going to take our thumb and we are going to now break up the fibers this way. Now, don't worry. We're still going to come back in there and we are going to get the glue stick and really break up the fibers right here along this part. All right. And actually what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to roll it this way because the paper is going to bend this way instead. So with this one, you kind of have to do, yeah, we just have to think it through a little bit more as we're going here. All right, so you can see I'm just running the glue stick between my fingers like this to really break up the fibers right there. And I'm just bending my tabs a little bit more. And there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to start again with these two pointy triangles that are here instead of the trapezoid. And I'm going to press it down onto my paper. And I'm going to do it this way just so I can see it a little bit more, and then I'll hold it up for you guys. So that way you can see. So I'm just pressing it down. I'm holding it and giving it a chance to dry before I move it. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to lift it so you guys can see it from this side and you can see it from here. Hopefully you can see it. So you can see that it's lining up right there at the edge, okay? And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this part first, this right side first. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue. I'm not going crazy because it's only 3 tabs here. I'm going to stop probably right about there. And then I'm just bending the paper as I'm adding it. Remember that the tabs can fold on top of each other. That's okay. And I'm going to push this one out just a little bit more before it dries. Oh, it's resisting. Okay, there it goes. That's good. Okay, let me bend this up a bit. And now I'm ready for this long part here. So I'm just going to add a bead of glue right here. And I'm going to turn it and hold it up and then press it down. So that way it stays. And then just pressing down the tabs on the opposite side. So that way they are bonding and drying. And there we go. So you can see it right along the edge here. Hopefully you can see it. Like it's right at the edge, which is what we really want. Like I said, if we go too far in or if we go too far out, then we will end up with too little or too much. I'm gonna hold this one right here and then bend it there. And then just kind of give it a moment and let it dry. Then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do it, add the glue here on the inside. And just lift it up there. I'm probably using too much glue because I'm starting to get a lot on my fingers. Okay. And I'm lifting up the paper here so I can add a little bit right underneath. And again, I know that was a lot there. And just pressing it and holding it and giving it a chance to dry. Okay, now I'm going to wait a second because I'm right on this curve here before I get back to this long edge. Okay. And just adding the glue right here. Okay. All right, we're almost there. We're so close to being finished. It's like maybe I'll speed up the video, but I'll just let it go. Okay, so there we go. All right, that looks good. And so now we're ready to add the second piece. So we're gonna go this way, which means that our tabs are gonna again come towards us. Okay, and just press everything down. I'm gonna fold the tab here, and I'm gonna use my finger again just to break up the fibers of the paper this way. So we're almost there, just a little bit more. And again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit right here where the next trapezoid would be, and then a little bit here on the tab. I'm going to meet the two right here and then press it down and hold it and give this a chance to bond to each other. I think I'm actually a little bit over. Eek. So I might have to add more glue because you want to make sure that the line meets right up. The end of this one side meets right along the score line of the other one. Probably should have said that tip first. Okay. All right, and so now I'm gonna add the glue, again, right along this straight line here before I really get into the curve. And I'm gonna turn it this way so I can see. and then just pressing everything down. So you can see it here on this side as well. And then we're gonna add the glue right here along the top of the candy cane, and then just pressing the paper, folding the paper right there along the edge, and then just give it the time that it needs to dry, so that way it bonds. Okay, press it and hold it there. Again, add a little bit more glue to the next part, and then again, just pressing and holding, and giving it a chance to bond and dry. And then I think there was a little bit of glue there, so I'm gonna go to the next one and just, again, giving it a chance to dry. And now, because I'm coming towards the edge here, I'm gonna add it more towards the inside. That was a lot of glue. There's a lot that just came out there. That's okay though. I'll just end up with more on my fingers. Okay. And then, so I'm just using the glue though to kind of seal it. And this one's gonna end right kind of on the corner here. And so what's gonna happen is we're gonna need to make sure that these 3 tabs that are left are really overlapping with each other. So I'm gonna place this down here. I'm actually gonna add the glue to this part too, to the tab, so that way it seals. I'm gonna lift these 3 up and then really just kind of bend it here. Now this bottom one has to go right underneath. And whoops. There's probably a shadow there too. Okay. So it fits right under, and there we go. Like I said, this was a hard one. These corners, they are no joke. They are difficult. So just give everything a chance to dry. And once you do, you're good to go. Okay, so there we have it. Okay, so now we're ready to add the red part to the top here, just to kind of finish it off. It just adds that candy cane look, right? Okay, so it's the same thing. Just adding a little bit of glue here to the back. And you do kind of want to make sure that you're getting all of the edges with this one. It doesn't need a whole lot of glue though, because a little bit would go a long way. And then just place it down so everything meets right up. See how it fits? Beautiful. And this is it. Then you take your bottom and place everything right on top, and voila, we've got our candy cane box. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and happy crafting.